turn this down, right? Okay, good morning, guys. All right, I'm showing up here. It is August 2024. This is Nicky Dare. Thank you so much for coming back here and showing up here. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear. Sometimes the microphone here and audio here is giving me a little bit of technical difficulty here, but it is not difficulty, it's just a little challenge. All right, I'm going to turn it down, in fact. Okay, great to be here, guys. Another podcast that I want to show up here because there's been really a hopefully my first of all, I'm recording this and I want to go live one of these days very soon, very shortly here, because I used to be doing this, right? But today I want to show up here to just talking about these things, you guys. The word, unpacking this word, inflation. Okay, what caused inflation and what are some of the solutions and the political impact to this? Now, listen, I am not a financial expert. I'm not a political scientist or any of that and all of this fancy stuff, gurus and things like that. I'm just a consumer. I am a law-abiding citizen, and you know, perhaps I want to just share my voice to you all, with you all, what I know. I was living here in my 6th decade here in life as a human being on this planet Earth we call home. But inflation, let's go back to that. I really would like to talk about inflation, first of all. And, you know, I want to invite some people, some folks that sort of like really know what inflation, you know, some financial expert, obviously. But right now, I'm going to go what I know. Okay, and I know that I have been giving you guys a little bit of video snippets, I call them, right? When I was out there, I'm a foodie. Yes, I am a foodie. And you guys heard about my insights, my 3 cents, and hopefully, you know, it resonated with you. Some of you, most of you, I hope. But, you know, I am coming from you know, thoughts, mindset that is just basically, it's a common sense, right? What's going on right now. So, but first off, I want to just welcome you. Welcome back to those who have been following my podcast, Leadership365. Today, we are diving into this hot button issue. It's not just affecting our wallets, but also dominating the headlines these days in the presidential campaigns, as we know, inflation. It's something that we all feel, whether we are filling up our gas at the gas station, right? Buying groceries at our favorite food markets, or just trying to make ends meet these days. But what's really causing this surge in prices? And more importantly, what can be done about it? So let's break it down and see how this political landscape is shaping the conversation around inflation. But first off, the goal of this episode is to empower you, all of you, my loyal listeners, wherever you are listening from around the world, around the globe, with the tools and all of these insights needed to navigate leadership challenges with agility and also foresight in ever-changing world that we live in today. So Leadership365 is a podcast that we designed for you, hoping to inspire growth and also impact for sustainability so that you can create your best year of 365 days ever. So as always, good to be here with a lot of you listening, presence of you and many of you around the world. All right, so let's get to it. Inflation. It's primarily caused by excessive demand, rising production costs and inflation expectation, and all of this good stuff, right? Solutions include, as I mentioned, tightening monetary policy, reducing government spending. Yeah, many of us are watching this, right, and say, what is going on? In improving supply chain efficiency. I think I put together a really small impromptu snippets about this, right? Printing excessive money can also lead to inflation by increasing the money supply faster than the economy's growth. I mean, it's just common sense. Thus driving up the prices. Right. So there we go, in a nutshell. But inflation, right, is more than just a buzzword. Is more than just economic term, but it's becoming a central issue in the upcoming presidential election. Candidates on both sides of the aisle are sparring over who's to blame and who has the best plan to fix the economy and the inflation. But before we get into the politics, which like I said earlier, I'm not a political scientist, I'm not a political guru or enthusiast, but I do want to understand, and I'm inviting you all to understand what's really driving inflation. I think that's the common fundamentals that we all consumers ourselves hope to understand. So inflation is the silent force that erodes wealth, but it's also a mirror reflecting the choices that we make as a society. And by the way, that is just a quote that I just made up. I hope that resonates with you. And right, but that's inflation in, perhaps many of you ask what it is. But let's get to it. What's causing inflation? What's behind this rising prices, right? Before I want to move on, I want to stop and pause a little bit here because I also injected this snippets way back during pandemic. And I believe I stated it back in July 2020, if I'm not mistaken. And then it's on my YouTube if you guys are interested in watching that and compare it to what I'm about to share with you guys. And I hope there's a common denominator and, causes it and everything like this, because it has been, what do you call this? It has been done before, right? In the past years, in the past decades, what has caused inflation and leading to recession, depression back in 1900s, 1929, be exact, caused by the wars and all of this stuff and everything like this. But pandemic specifically, I had talked about this and what would give a long-term impact to the economy. All right, so that's my pause right there. But what caused inflation, really? So what's behind these rising prices? There are three main factors: excessive demand, like I said earlier, rising production costs, and the expectations, inflation expectations. So first up, demand pull inflation. So imagine this, with the economy recovering from the pandemic, there is a rush to buy homes, they buy cars, and even basic goods, right? Demand is always like, hey, we have to keep up with the demand, surging, but supply cannot keep up. So what does it mean when the supply cannot keep up and demand is asking for more? It's leading to higher prices. Yes, and this has been exacerbated by stimulus checks, I mentioned that, and low interest rates, which have put more money, more cash into these people's hands. As I've mentioned this, right? And there's so many cash circulating in the around us in the economy. So that's going to have a long-term impact. I call it a side effects. I call it an aftershock. Right. So the next one up is cost push inflation. What is that? What is that, Nikki? Cost push inflation. This is when the cost of making goods rises, whether it is due to increased wages, which we have seen this year, 2024 in California, where I'm at, increased minimum wage, right? Officially was increased in April 2024, if I'm not mistaken. April Fools, by the way, April 1, 2024. Whether, it is due to increased wages and also higher raw material costs or even tariffs. Okay? For example, ongoing supply chain disruptions, which we have seen, right? The ongoing supply chain disruptions. Oh God, we have so much to talk about in this area. Partly due to the geopolitical tension and also trade policies have made everything from electronics to groceries more expensive than ever. There's so much to talk about because there's a lot of also incidents that had happened recently in the last couple of years, right? That affects, impact, and disrupt the supply chain, as we already know that, right? And then there is a built-in inflation next up. I want to move rather quickly here. There are three. The third one is built-in inflation. And what is that, Nikki? This is the cycle where workers demand higher wages to keep up with the rising costs, and businesses, so in turn, raise prices to cover those wages. Hello. I think that's economics fundamentals 101. It's a cycle that's particularly visible in all sectors like healthcare, education, and all the vertical markets, right? Where costs have been spiraling for years. All right, that's economics 101. All right, let's take a pause break here and music, please. You guys can see me in person now, right? Usually just my voice. Let's take a breather break. I'm back. That was a long breather. I just want to catch on to this next segment, which is the political angle, where both sides of the parties are talking about this and trying to focus on the on the economy. So inflation, talk about that. Let's talk politics a little bit here, even though that I'm not a political guru and scientist and all of this stuff. But inflation has become a key issue in this particular 2024 presidential race. Both candidates from both aisles are definitely using it, right, to rally, to win their votes and bases and everything. A lot of of course, the blaming games of the government spending for overheating the economy, while the other point to corporate greed and all of this supply chain mismanagement, blah, 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 blah. I just had to mention this because it does have, sparked this. Let's get educated about this. Let's know more about this. But then, you cannot gloss it over and then, try to delusion the consumers themselves directly, right? Because we are the consumers, we are the end users, and we know what's at the grocery stores. We know the prices. Businesses also, right? So, on one side, we have candidates advocating for tighter monetary policy, raising interest rates to cool down the economy. They argue that curbing government spending and controlling the money supply is the way to bring inflation down. So this approach has garnered support among fiscal conservatives who are worried about long-term economic stability. But on the other side, some candidates are focusing supply-side solutions, investing in infrastructures, technology, and diversifying supply chains to reduce costs and prevent future disruptions, right? They also emphasize that importance of maintaining social safety nets, arguing that cutting government spending too drastically, too fast could hurt those who are already struggling. So I want to ponder this and pause this. Let's not forget the debate over printing money. Okay, printing money, as I said, is also, you guys, long-term effect, side effects, aftershock. Whether it's going to be in a year, 2 years, 3 years, long-term, is never good. So some argue that the government's response to the pandemic, pumping trillions of dollars into the economy, has led to this, to the current inflammation of this inflation. I like that. Inflationary pressures, stress, right? While This response had helped avoid a deeper recessions. It's now a flashpoint in the debate of this political campaign, political race 2024, over how to manage the economy moving forward. So that's where we're at right now. And I think it's very interesting to watch just the overall what is being discussed. So with the presidential campaigns in full swing, inflation isn't just an economic issue, it's a political one, I believe, right? Can get tossed back and forth. Voters are looking for solutions, obviously, we all always do, and how these candidates address this issue could very well determine, the outcome of the election. And very sad to say, it's still going on, no matter how you want to gloss it over. And we are not foolish about this, that hey, we just want to see solution. We just want to see how any of you fix the economy. I think that's where I'm gonna land because that's where I'm gonna land. All right, guys, music, please. All right, so there is another quote that I want to share with you guys. The quote is, managing inflation isn't about quick fixes, okay? Managing inflation is really, truly not about quick fixes. It's about understanding the balances between growth and stability in an ever-changing economy. I want to repeat that again, basically. Let me see if I can pull that up. I just wrote that down, you guys. All right. Managing inflation isn't about quick fixes. It is about understanding the balances and between growth and stability, in this ever-changing economy. All right, guys, I want to share with you guys, because it's not a podcast of Leadership365 hosted by Nicky Dare, and one and only Nicky Dare, without my final thoughts. All right, so my question to you all is that, where does that leave us? This whole thing about inflation. So inflation, as we know it, is a complex issue with multiple causes, from excessive demand to rising costs and expectation of this future price increases. It's also becoming a political battleground, right? Political battleground, with candidates offering different visions for how to bring prices under control. But here's what I think. Managing inflation effectively requires this balanced approach. Yes, I think tightening monetary policy and controlling government spending are crucial. Okay. But so is investing in our infrastructure and making sure that our supply chains are resilient. I think that's important. And while printing money might seem like a quick fix, it's not a sustainable solution in the long run. It really isn't sustainable. So as we head into this election, it is important to stay informed and educated, understand the implications of the policies being proposed. Inflation affects all of us. Yes, all of us. 8 billion of us. And the choices that we make at the ballot box will shape how we deal with it moving forward. So I just want to pause there, you guys, because like I said, I'm going to make this really quick for me today. Yeah, I want to make it a podcast so you guys can hear it. And it is not sustainable if we keep printing money all the time. There's a lot of cash in our hands here in our country that, is not keeping up with the pace of the growth. So, all right, guys, that's it for me. Inflation. Thanks for tuning in. If this discussion has sparked your interest, and stick around, there is so much to explore. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share this podcast. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious. As always, this is Nicky Dare. Buenas noches, buenos dias, buenas tardes. Selamat pagi, selamat siang you guys. Terima kasih untuk mendengarkan saya punya podcast hari ini. Saya maklum dari sini supaya mendengarkan lagi. Until next time you guys. Thank you so much. God bless and stay well, stay safe and stay vigilant. Watch your 6, 12, 6, 3, everywhere. 360 degree. Staying prepared all the time as always. Stay in condition yellow you guys. Staying safe, it is your responsibility. All right, God bless. This is Nicky Dare. Talk soon. Catch you later. Bye now. This next video was recorded in July 9th, 2020. Price gouging, greed, and aftershock. They haven't, gone through something like this before, so we don't really have a blueprint or anything like this, right? But all I know is that in time of crisis, there's going to be people trying to take advantage, trying to profit gain, trying to act with selfishness, greediness, and things like that. Promise, I'm going to talk about price gouging here. First of all, I am not so concerned much of the virus outbreak itself, but really it's the people who respond and react, the reaction of the people to this virus outbreak so far. What concerns me the most, ever since it's started, ever since that, we learn about that, just the panic and the fear and all of this stuff, from the mentality to the attitude in responding, reacting to these new challenges and just the outbreak, we're on a second or third month now. I want to it's all about perspective. It's similarly aiming at a moving target. I mentioned this before, I think, to some of you. We simply cannot just stand still. Like a weaver or a Cecily stand in thinking that this would be just a temporarily in occurrences, things like that. And people listening to this, yeah, she's talking about training. You know how withdrawal I am with training? So much, by the way. And standing static or even, becoming paralyzed. But more, how are we going to overcome the moving target by keep moving? But keep moving with the moving target. Keep moving with the target and follow through, applying that, obviously, right? That's important. I'm just bringing this into perspective. And I also want to mention particularly about the stimulus checks. I've stated my 3 cents before, even before, way before, the beginning of March, middle of March. It will have a domino repel effect, not just short term, I'm concerned, but more so in the long term side effect, in a financial, more than it's like in the financial long term, in the overall economy, obviously. And, I mentioned this at the early part of March, and then when I heard that stimulus checks are going out, I'm just like, oh gosh, this is going to be a bad thing. It's great that we all have extra money and then tax-free and all of this. But I'm also thinking of the other side of it, the other fault of this, right? The pandemic crisis, I'll call it. People are going to start gouging on these consumer goods. I'm talking about companies, I'm talking about small businesses, that's trying to stay afloat and everything, or even big corporation. It saddens me to watch this, I mentioned this before, again, like at the beginning of this outbreak. We obviously haven't, gone through something like this before, so we don't really have a blueprint or anything like this, right? But all I know is that in time of crisis, there's going to be people trying to take advantage, trying to profit gain, trying to act with selfishness, greediness, and things like that. Because they know that there's stimulus checks they're going to try to find ways how they're going to try to get that from the, people who received the stimulus checks. I mean, for example, one item, toilet paper, $17, $17 for 6 roll. And he just got back, a couple of days ago. He's like, I don't know where you live, by the way, in which state, but we live in Southern California. That's how much we pay. He's like, I was paying and feeding more families than ever. It's not like we haven't done this with premium prices. It's getting even worse. It's almost like feeding families more than 2 people household. I mean, we're paying more and feeding more people. When this is over, it's not like we're expected to see it back, the prices. We're not going to see it back less than $2 or $1.50 per roll. I mean, nobody's talking about that. No one's talking about this. And what are we going to do? What are they going to do? The prices will stay the same no matter what. I mean, even if this is going to be lifted, whenever that will be. It will cause bloating to our current already high taxes on consumer goods, and including foods also. And people don't talk about this. People are already seeing it now. I'm more concerned about what's going to happen also in these prices. Our country is already underwater when it comes to national debt, when it comes to this kind of thing. The pandemic crisis, I call it. People are going to start gouging on this consumer goods. I'm talking about companies, I'm talking about small businesses, that's trying to stay afloat and everything, or even big corporation. It saddens me to watch this, I mentioned this before. Again, like at the beginning of this outbreak, we obviously haven't, gone through something like this before. So we don't really have a blueprint or anything like this, right? But all I know is that in time of crisis, there's going to be people trying to take advantage, trying to profit gain, trying to act with selfishness, greediness, and things like that. Because they know that there's stimulus checks, they're going to try to find ways how they're going to try to get that from the, people who received the stimulus checks. I mean, for example, one item, toilet paper, $17, $17 for 6 roll. And he just got back, a couple of days ago. He's like, I don't know where you live, by the way, in which state, but we live in Southern California. That's how much we pay. He's like, I was paying and feeding more families than ever. It's not like we haven't done this with premium prices. It's getting even worse. It's almost like feeding families more than 2 people household. I mean, we're paying more and feeding more people. When this is over, it's not like we're expected to see it back, the prices. We're not going to see it back less than $2 or $1.50 per roll. I mean, nobody's talking about that. No one's talking about this. And what are we going to do? What are they going to do? The prices will stay the same no matter what. I mean, even if this is going to be lifted, whenever that will be. It will cause bloating to our current already high taxes on consumer goods, and including foods also. And people don't talk about this. People are already seeing it now. I'm more concerned about what's going to happen also in these prices. Our country is already underwater when it comes to national debt, when it comes to this kind of thing. The pandemic crisis, I call it. People are going to start gouging on this consumer goods. I'm talking about companies, I'm talking about small businesses, that's trying to stay afloat and everything, or even big corporation. It saddens me to watch this, I mentioned this before. Again, like at the beginning of this outbreak, we obviously haven't, gone through something like this before. So we don't really have a blueprint or anything like this, right? But all I know is that in time of crisis, there's going to be people trying to take advantage, trying to profit gain, trying to act with selfishness, greediness, and things like that. Because they know that there's stimulus checks, they're going to try to find ways how they're going to try to get that from the, people who received the stimulus checks. I mean, for example, one item, toilet paper, $17 for 6 roll. And he just got back, a couple of days ago. He's like, I don't know where you live, by the way, in which state, but we live in Southern California. That's how much we pay. He's like, I was paying and feeding more families than ever. It's not like we haven't done this with premium prices. It's getting even worse. It's almost like feeding families more than two people household. I mean, we're paying more and feeding more people. When this is over, it's not like we expected to see it back, the prices. We're not going to see it back less than $2 or $1.50 per roll. I mean, nobody's talking about that. No one's talking about this. And what are we going to do? What are they going to do? The prices will stay the same no matter what. I mean, even if this is going to be lifted, whenever that will be. It will cause bloating to our current already high taxes on consumer goods, and including foods also. And people don't talk about this. People are only seeing it now. I'm more concerned about what's going to happen also on these prices. Our country is already underwater when it comes to national debt, when it comes to this kind of thing. Each state respond to this, right? I mean, I live in Southern California. I don't know about your state. One of the easiest ways is to tax the hell more. And we know that. I've lived here 25 years now in the state. The easiest one is gas tax. More of those people that can pay because they can. Gas tax is really an example of the easiest ways to tax. I mean, it's not like we're not paying the premium prices around here in this state. We just don't know where those taxes supposedly go to, disperse to. Yeah, I really don't get what you say. It's just, it really doesn't go to where it's supposed to go. Okay, going back to a couple of days ago, my mother raised a very good point. Think about this is a novel virus. It can shut down the world overnight. It's almost like living in a nightmare. She mentioned that. I mean, she's almost like 80 years old, and she's correct on that. I mean, yes, as far as unlike other ones that we've experienced, like the bird flu, SARS, Spanish influenza, all of this is nothing like that. This one managed to keep us all confined, all contained in our homes for almost like 3 months now, and confined space, and then demanding social distancing. How long will it be? Nobody knows, right? We've been hearing also there's going to be a second wave of this. I mean, all of this is already reorienting our relationship to the outside world, reorienting, even to each other. It's unknown, uncertainty. I'm sorry I'm bringing you down like this because, I'm usually up and up, optimistic. But some changes experts expect to see in the coming months, years, might feel so unsettling, might feel so unfamiliar. Like I said, nobody knows how to deal with this. This is something that's a crisis. But here's a good side. Crisis moments also present opportunities, and I want to stay on the optimism path because that's all we have. That's all we can do. More sophisticated and flexible use of technology. Everybody suddenly now in the internet, suddenly that everybody rushed to online platform to maintain their fate of staying afloat for their businesses, right? How many webinars can you receive every day? My email inbox flooded with nothing but invitation of just webinar here and there. Last polarization, a new approach or revive appreciation for the outdoors. Myself, I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I love being in the outdoor. Life's simplest pleasure that we seem to take advantage on a daily basis. Now we shift our mind and then say, oh my gosh, now we're in confined space. We spent more time to appreciate that, to think, start pondering, start realizing how important it is, right? To be, that enjoying the life's simplest pleasure. No one knows what will come. Obviously, uncertainties and unknown, but for now, we should focus on things that we can take control in, Outside the world, we can take we cannot take control of anything what's going on out there. But what we can do is to start taking control in ourselves, in our direct space, direct environment, in our direct, confined space that we live in right now. Really, ourselves, our loved ones, all of these things. And that's all we can do. This next video was recorded on July 17, 2020. Financial bleeding, price gouging, monetary system, all about that. So hi everyone, my name is Nicky Dare. Selamat pagi, selamat siang, selamat sore, selamat malam. I think I cover all of the daytime and nighttime here. Apa kabar semua? Selamat pagi. Terima kasih untuk melihat dan mendengar saya. Glad to be here and glad to see you guys here and choosing to be here with me for the next at least few minutes. That's not what I was going to talk about, the entrepreneurship, but I will continue, however, because I think this is an important subject and it's an important topic right now during the pandemic. We can certainly share insights together. So I'll put it into my next video, so hang tight. Hopefully you guys are going to catch me on that subject. All right, money and how we are conditioned to think and do in our lives around that topic. All right, okay, so last time I spoke about money and price gouging. I think right about a couple of months ago, price gouging during the pandemic, what it means to us and what will affect to our long-term economy. And I rarely, or maybe not even heard anyone speak about this on this topic. Maybe there are some, but a couple months ago, 2-3 months ago, no one really talked about it and scratching on this topic. We are so focused in right now, the present chaos and surviving the uncertainties, surviving the next couple months, the economic instability and the election coming up, guys, in a few months in November. So a couple things that I really would like to point out at this time. The printing of new money circulating that will have long-term impact in our economy. There are some thinkings out there, some thoughts and insights, but no one seems to talk about it really. Anytime we see tax, changes in both state and federal level, and also stimulus that we have, all of us had been spent by now probably, and bailout money, meaning that the government is really printing money, new money, fresh money, to be circulated out there. Right? People spend and now new money is in circulation. This will cause inflation, right? Bloating to the already existing national debt crisis, right? In 18 months or so, this has huge impact. Does this have long-term effect in our economy? Yeah, the answer is yes. Of course, absolutely, right? Look, I'm not a financial advisor or even try to become one or an expert, right? But this is just a little common sense. Although I have one though, he's a good advisor, a very good one, Eric. I used to be Mitch. I mean, he's retired. I mean, Mitch was the seasoned. I mean, he's been around the block and he's been through in few of the market crashes, so he knows what he's talking about in the last decades, right? Anytime we print money, right, the value to the dollar decreases. Value of the toilet paper, for example, that is priced currently at, $17 for 6 pieces. It used to be like $9 or even less. That's like twice increase, right? This price you see will most likely won't ever go down after the pandemic. I mean, I'll call it pandemic price at $17. And post-pandemic will either remain or even become higher, and this is what I call price gouging, post-pandemic, also post-crisis. But the value of the toilet paper remains the same while the price increases. Crude oil is currently priced at, I believe, $39.40. I mean, it's been that way per barrel. Barrel is 40 gallons, I think, per barrel. And when it goes to gas station, it's priced at 3.8 and close to 4 gallons, $4 per gallon, I mean, nearly. Here in California, I don't know, in some states, and averaging probably $3 now. My point is that someone is really making serious money, regardless it is a bad or a good economy when it comes to this kind of things. Especially fuel price, gas obviously is necessity every day. During pandemic, where less cars are on the road and freeways right now, the gas companies are probably crying, not only for their daily loyal customers, right? But also, I think it's to pay their fuel storage fees. I mean, think about that. I think I was reading an article about it, because now they have so much inventory. No one is buying that, right? Same concept. This is all the whole thing here. Same concept, pyramid scheme. Only the few on the top will benefit the scheme, but never the middle to the bottom people. It's just, it's the great example is the pyramid scheme, basically. Another point I want to make on this is that we are in our 5th month now since we start quarantine. And all of these uncertainties, the lockdown, the shelter in place, schools, businesses are shut down. I know that some are reopening already, and, with minimal work capacity, still mandating to wear face masks and practice social distancing. All of these are based on one thing, that we are still anticipating on the vaccine for the virus, right? I mean, that's what we're waiting for. That's why we are on a lockdown mode into 5 months now after pandemic mentioned, right? I mentioned this from the beginning. Yeah, we talk about the second wave. We talk about all of these things that's going on, with all of the pandemic virus coming down again. Yeah, we talk about the second wave. We talk about all of these things that's going on, with all of the pandemic virus coming down again. We should have shut down. I mean, the entire world shut down for 30 days, collectively, together. Only go out for emergency only, shut down, meaning shut down for 30 days. This in March would have given us a different result than what we have now, I think. I don't know. I mean, you could share some of your insights with me. There is a second wave, they say, right? The virus, because people do not wear face masks and they're not practicing social distancing when they're out in public. Protests or large mass gathering events that we've seen in the last month or so. I mean, I won't go this. I want to go this discussion. It's a different discussion. Perhaps we'll save it for next time. Okay, but. So moving on, so my question is that in that regards, even when there is this magical vaccine, do we already have the infrastructure of the delivery of these vaccines to the public? Basically, the infrastructure of delivery, meaning the tools and resources that come along with the delivering of the service, right? The vaccines, to the people. I mean, has anybody thought about that? Because it's going to come with the territory. I mean, yeah, great that we're going to find the vaccines, and now we're going to have the vaccines. Now what? How are we going to deliver this to the service to the people? We might need the syringe, the gloves, everything, has to be sterile. The infrastructure for the delivery. So as this epic COVID continues making its fame around the world, how much has COVID really contributed to the U.S. national debt so far? And it's been bloating already, as we already know. Do we need to consider perhaps resetting our monetary system Think about that. I don't know. I mean, call me crazy. Do we need to come up with perhaps global currency that everywhere around the world should have just one currency and using it, globally around the world? I don't know. I mean, is this something that's feasible? I have no idea. These are some of the questions I want to know. Okay, this is Nicky Dare. I'm going to end it here. Terima kasih untuk mendengar saya and untuk melihat saya di video ini. Thanks for listening. Hope that we can learn. And this was insightful. And please, please, please post your feedback and comments on this video. I really would love to hear yours back. All right. Terima kasih semua and sampai jumpa. Sampai jumpa lagi. And this next video was recorded just recently, August 17, 2024, while having lunch. And it's just a casual conversation about inflation. Enjoy. Second grader math, basically. So the first grader will learn what? The first grader will learn 1 plus 1. No, okay, sorry, not that.
They'll learn what 1 is.
Okay, the first grader will learn what 1 is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The numbers, basically, right? And then when you reach, just 1? Okay, he said just 1. So when you're in second grade,
that's when you learn to put 1 plus 1 together.
That's when you learn the 1 plus 1, the addition, the subtraction too. Subtraction also.
For the normal second grade, that's probably falls in line. But because these people are so far below that, I don't know if they can deal with subtraction.
Okay, so
and all they know is addition to the national debt.
Addition to the national debt. Okay, so do you guys copy that? So as a second grade, it's below that, basically, what he's saying, because they all know just how to add the national debt. That's so true. True statement. So I'm going to talk about inflation on the next one. Okay, you ready? So I think that's what we need to talk about, inflation, honey. What causes it? It's caused by just excessive demand, right? By greed, G-R-E-E-D, that is. Using just, a lot of this consumers' money. And I think, like you said, I think final down is greed. And I think printing money also is not the solution for it. I think printing money because of extra
countries that don't bring it back to the United States.
Yeah, they keep it themselves.
They're washed that you've given the money away. The money never comes back.
Never gonna come back. No, the money that they give away to other countries, and then they don't. We don't get a refund back. Yeah, we refund back. They're gonna return back to the country and say thank you very much, and plus with an interest rate or something like that. But I think thank you so much. I think it's I think we talked about that during the pandemic when we get that, what do you call that back then? Supplement money or whatever, the checks. What is it called again back then? And then we knew it was coming. What is it called again? Stimulus money. Stimulus money. Remember those guys? Guys, remember those money stimulus checks? What a bug. Yeah, we never got those, by the way. So funny. We never got this. What do you call those again? Stimulus checks? I don't even know what they are. Stimulus checks during pandemic. I mean, those are just kind of like a joke. What a circus. Anyway, inflation. So what causes inflation? That looks good, honey. That's your stuff. He loves that stuff. Oh, thank you.
Very, very hot. Please be careful.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Do you have? Oh, you have it. Okay, right there. That looks good. That's chicken farm. Thank you. You want some? Right. Okay, bon appetit. What is it?
How's it going over here?
This is good.
Delicious.
All right, so we're talking about inflation. What are the solutions? And the one that I mentioned was what, honey? Stop the greed, you would say.
How about improving supply chain efficiency? Improving supply chain efficiency. But then, that's already been also been guarded by some greedy people in their system. How about tightening monetary policy also, you know? Not all of this out of control, no knowledge. But then the simple way to think about this as a consumer, right? General consumer, the way we look at it is like it's so heavily controlled, and the bottom line is greed, pretty much greed.
Stop spending.
Stop spending. Well, no, control the spending.
No, stop spending on the bullshit and remove the incentive for people to come here to get free stuff. All you have to do. You don't need a wall. You don't need any of that.
Well, it's too late because the person that's in charge right now giving free candies, giving a lot of free candies, and insulting all of the people that really actually work hard. The true people that work hard. And again, we go back again to the greed. Anyway, there's the inflation there. And there's so much to talk about still, but that's pretty much it. Right? Is it good, honey? How's the pizza? Good? And printing money, as we already saw that during the pandemic, can also lead to inflation. Why is that? Because there's so much money out there. So much money, so much cash and stimulus checks is going to drive up the prices high, increase the prices high on goods, on the economy. Because it's faster than the growth itself. It's just economics 101. Really. That's inflation. Printing money that we don't need. And giving out. We know it was cutting out all of those. What do you call it again? Oh, the solution would be cutting down some of the government spending. That's one of them. And whoever's in the office, they couldn't do that. Like this admin, someone's like Lindsay Lohan giving the key to the minibar. Especially this one. Never get stimulus checks. Got the government spending. All I get stimulus checks that we never got, by the way. Huh?
We never got a stimulus check.
Never get stimulus checks. Did you guys get stimulus checks? I never did.
Waiting.
Still.
Waiting, you ain't getting that.
Okay, you done almost? Your pizza is good, huh? Good?